everyone. Welcome to this week's Monday Reset. We're so excited to Ben as our guest speaker today. And we were just having a conversation before we got started with this call about how perfect the timing is for this, for everyone as you are putting thought into your personal planning, your business planning, reviewing your values, and thinking about how your values are in alignment with your life and your business. I could not think of a more wonderful person to talk to about her business journey and some specifics about how she has done it than Margaret Johnson, who is our guest speaker today. So thank you for saying yes and moving some things around so that you could be here with us today, Margaret.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited to have you. And I know that everyone here who doesn't already know you well will love you as much as I do when this conversation is over. So, Margaret, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself? And you can share anything from personal to business. Just share kind of yourself in a nutshell, and you can take as long as you want to describe yourself and your
Okay.
journey.
All right. Hi, y'all. Thanks for attending. I got married at 20, so that's really important to know. I got married at 20. I'm still married to that same guy. And we had 3 kids, which I mostly homeschooled and stayed home with. Did a little bit of retail in and out. I love retail, but always loved the senior demographic. My grandparents were my very best friends, and their friends were my friends. And I took care of them when I could and hung out with them and all the different things. And so as my children began to leave the nest, I found myself in a little bit of an identity crisis. Who am I now? What am I going to do? So I got a job in senior move management that put me in a place where I was working with seniors and all of their stuff. Remember, I loved retail, so I'm not a hoarder, but I like things. I like pretty things like that. And so went into senior move management and really dug in with people on what does it look like to actually move? What does it look like to physically pack up boxes, make the choices between the things you've had for 50 years from your kids and the things that actually fit into where you're going when you downsize. It was a really eye-opening job. We worked for some very wealthy people in huge houses. But at the end of the day, whether you were wealthy or not wealthy, the transition and what it meant to your body and your mind was very hard. Seniors have a high fall risk. They have common UTIs. They have mental issues. If you have slight mental issues before you start a move, those increase in time. Everything is really hard. So I found myself loving that job, very physically challenging. But what I didn't like was the fact that we were with people for about 2 weeks and then I never saw them again. I didn't get to have any long relationships. So I left that job and became a life enrichment director in a senior living community, independent living. I don't know if you know the difference between independent and assisted and skilled and all the different things out there, but there is a world out there where seniors move into a community. They rent their own apartments. They have their cars. It's kind of like retirement living, but it is on a scale so that if something happens, they can move to higher care. During this process that I learned was that 60% of people in South Carolina have no one in our communities, in our senior living communities in South Carolina. So you're talking about if 60% of people who live in community have no family, no support, they didn't have it before they moved in. They were at home alone with no one to help them. So a lot of these things began to play into place. And I love my job as a life enrichment director. I became their person. I was everything to them, planned the events, did all the fun things, the concerts. But I also was the one receiving them now when they moved into community. What did that transition look like? And the people who moved well transitioned well. The people who did not move well, did not transition well, did not make friends, did not go to happy hour, did not do the things that you want them to do. And I saw families very frustrated. So fast forward a few more years, still trying to figure out who Margaret is at, in her late 40s, and came to real estate. Someone from Keller Williams is a friend of mine who's a realtor. I got this vision for being a resource in our area for seniors. There's no one-stop shop place to go There's no 1-800-seniors or anything like that where you can call and say, hey, I need a home health nurse, or I need someone to help me with my car, or that does not exist. And so I thought, this is what I'll do. Went to my husband, said, this is what I want to be. And he said, how are you going to get paid for it? Well, my Keller Williams friend and I started thinking through some things. I've always loved real estate, loved the idea of it. And when I found out that Keller Williams would let me get my license and pay for my education to do it, I thought, why not try it? So what I have done is taken my vision of being that resource, coupled it with real estate, and moved into my niche. I started serving in my niche. And it's funny because I've told Sandra this, I've told other people that are way ahead of me in the business and higher coaches than myself could ever be. I've said I never intended to build a business, but I have built a business. And so that has been, Sandra, you're going to think I'm crazy for saying it, but it's been a surprise to me that I built a business, because that was never my intention. I really started in a place of, I want to serve seniors in our area and I want to be that resource. The flip side of that is what I didn't know at the time, and what God was doing in the whole picture was the real estate piece is the door that is getting me in the door to be the resource for all of the other things. And to me, that is really cool. So here I am. I'm in year 3.
Yeah. And let's talk about, you're right. I always think it's hilarious when you act surprised that you have a great business. And it absolutely did not come without a clear work ethic and a genuine care for other human beings. And that is why I knew that you were going to have a really big business. And it's because it comes from that service place, right? And it always has for you. So let's talk about trajectory with you just being in year 3 now. So you already knew I was going to ask you this, Bethany. So let's talk about what your business looked like in the first year and the second year, and what is it looking like now?
So in the first year, I had one closing. At the end of the day, it was one closing. And it was a friend whose parents needed to move. It wasn't like I had done anything monumental to get the business. I did go through coaching, and I sat under coaching for a year and did all the things. You know, if they told us to go put our business cards on bulletin boards at banks, that's what I did. I got out there and began to figure out what the real estate business took to be a part of it. But also at that time, I started meeting people in the senior resource industry, found the networking groups, started volunteering in our assisted living communities and our skilled nursing communities to the best of my ability, and I began to go where the people were that I wanted to serve. And that was key to where I am this year. So last year I had a pretty strong year. I think I closed 8 million. It's not monumentally amazing, but it was a good year. And what's been interesting about this year, because I've continued to do stuff. Now I serve on the board of a senior resource group in our area. I mean, I think we counted last week and we had 4 networking event opportunities just last week that we did. I lean heavily into that. And so probably what we're in September, it was probably June, July that I just started getting referrals, and people just started calling, and the business just began to flow in. And I truly get probably at least a referral a week to go and meet with somebody and see how I can help them. And that has been really cool. My hardest hurdle, Sandra, in all of that was educating people about how I was different. And as I went into those groups where you might have home health and home care and financial advisors and hospice nurses and all of these different things, as I introduced myself as a realtor, in their mind, it popped up, oh, I know what a realtor is. And I had to step back and go, no, you don't understand. This is who I am. And so that education process was not easy, but as people have gotten to know me and how I've continued to show up, and I am leading the charge in a lot of other ways, they get me and they understand what I'm doing and what I'm about and the group that I want to serve. So that has been really, really humbling, really cool. We've closed, I think, 3 or 4 referrals this year. We've closed 12 so far. We're closing 3 this month, and I've got the potential and signed documents to close another 12 by the end of the year, which is terrifying. But yes,
In the best way, ma'am, in the
it
best way.
is. It's a lot of work. Yes.
So let's dive into a few things that you said. So one thing I want to talk about is how do you help them understand exactly what it's like to work with you? What does that process look like? I know that you speak at, host, and attend lots of things, and teach often. So what are the top 2 to 3 ways that you have trained them what it actually is like to work with you versus their previous perspective of a realtor?
So, one thing that I asked myself early on in the business, and I've been asking myself this question from a spiritual perspective for years. From a spiritual perspective, I've been asking myself, if the Bible were written today, where would I be in it and what would it say about me? And now in my business, I regularly ask myself the question, if I was sitting on a panel with 4 other realtors and you asked me to stand up and convince the crowd about why they should use me, what makes me stand out, what makes me different? And I think that is one of the hardest things for realtors and or anybody to figure out. But in this business where we are constantly selling ourselves, because that's what we're doing, we're selling, we're not selling homes. We're selling who we are and our character and our integrity and our service and what we can offer. And so to step back and go, okay, if I'm on that panel, what do I say? And so one of the things that I always remind people, I always say I'm a South Carolina, North Carolina licensed realtor, but I truly lean into my senior real estate designation. And what that means is I have a background in senior move management. And so I'm pulling in my background in order to paint a picture of how I'm different. When I really get time with somebody, though, I make sure that they understand that I did not go into real estate for the money. Now, the money in real estate is sick. I mean, you should not be able to make this much money doing what we do, in my opinion. It is crazy that we make the amount of money that we do. But now it's risky, but that is not what drives me. What drives me is service. And that has been the thing that if I get a minute to really communicate that to somebody, and they understand that I'm going to show up whether I get paid or not. I'm going to share a resource. I'm going to help you make a plan whether I get paid or not. I think that's the heart of what it is. And Sandra got a good example of this. I mean, even earlier this year, I was referred to a client, went over, they said, we need help coming up with a plan about how we move out of our home. And that's what I do. I sit down and I have the estate sale people and I have the contractors and I have all the pieces in place that most realtors do, but I commit that I'm overseeing the whole process and I'm in the whole process and I'm guiding the whole process. It's a very high level of customer service. I'm taking them goodies along the way. I'm meeting with family members. I'm doing all of those different things, which a lot of people are doing. It's not that I'm doing anything special that anybody else can't do, but I'm doing all those things. And I have my listing. I've got my listing presentation. I have all the different things. And then they turn to me and they're like, well, we're going to try for sale by owner. And so that we'll pay you. They're like, we'll pay you for your services. And I thought, well, you can't, because every bit of money has to go through my brokerage. So I can't get a consultation fee for what I'm doing. And so they were delightful people, all the different things, asked me advice about the house. I was like, you know what? My commitment is that I give value everywhere I go. I'm going to give the value. Now, did I lay out my vendor list for them? No. I gave them what they needed. 4 months later, Margaret, we can't sell the house. This is too much. Will you please come list the house? And so to me, it's more important that I offer value everywhere I go to everybody I meet. And how and when it comes back to me, it's not up to me.
I love that. And when you listen to the trajectory of your business, I love how realistic this is. You just came in, you did the work, you didn't, run out the gates. I mean, not that you would ever actually tell me a goal that you had for your business anyway in the beginning, because you've always been just service first. We were joking about that, but um, you built the foundation and you leaned into who you are. And you take such excellent care of people. That's why you're continuing to get referrals in business. And one of the things that I love about you is even though Todd was joining you in your business, when we looked at the way that your personalities are, you have a lot of similarities. And so I love that you were open-minded to finding someone that was going to be a win-win for you in supporting you administratively,
Yeah.
that has the skill sets that you need in that
Yeah.
instead of another you.
Yeah.
Um, can we talk about how Chloe has helped you and how you got over being hesitant in the beginning, being responsible for someone else's pay and kind of that part of the process? Because I'm really excited that you found your person.
Sandra, that's a total God thing too. I was drowning and we've had a lot of discussions. Todd is working full time with me now, but we've had a lot of discussions about how do we serve at the level we want to serve, but also keep our sanity. And there's a point where you can't go any further. And so you had me take the leverage series with Melanie, and I did that. And that was very informative, very, very helpful. But at the end of the day, full disclosure, my business acumen is not great. And the thought of hiring somebody meant that I have a business. That's the scariest part of me. Um I am equipped to lead, but I would be completely fine if I worked for somebody who handled all of that and I just was able to do my thing. So that's been a thing I've had to work through. I'm still not great at it. I would say I'm still spending more money than I should on marketing and on clients and that experience because um, I do care a lot for people. I'm constantly picking up things for them or, whatever that looks like. And so hiring was terrifying to me. Chloe and I had been friends for a long time. When I started in the business, I thought, how can I get in front of more seniors? We connected. She serves the seniors in her church in Indian Land. I said, I've got this idea to start seminars. She said, I think that's great. I think our people will love it. And we'll start with my core group of people in my church, and then we'll advertise and we'll grow and we'll do this. So we began offering seminars so that at least once a month I was with true seniors, not just the people serving in the resources of the senior world, but with them. And so she and I started doing that, collaborating on some of that. She is highly brilliant, just brilliant. She has skills that I don't have. And as it progressed, just really prayed and prayed and prayed about it. And then one day this year, I think it was like February, I just went to her and I said, would you ever consider working with me? And I said, but here's my commitment to you. You're only going to get paid when I'm getting paid. And I said, you will get paid well when I get paid. And I said, but in real estate, that's how this works. You work your tail off with hopes that you're going to get to the closing table and you're going to get that paycheck. And we all put out money for pictures and marketing and things in advance. And it's risky from that standpoint. And I told her that. I said, I am going to give you my commitment that I will work very hard and that you will get paid. But we never even settled on a monthly hourly rate. I just said, this is what I need. I need some help with transaction. I need help with marketing. I need help with all the different things. And she just has jumped in. And when I get paid, she also gets paid. And that's how we've worked. And it's working. Now, everybody's not going to find that person that's willing to get paid when you get paid, but she was and she is. And that was a gift to me because we're able to build and we're able to grow. And eventually she probably will. We've had to switch from an LLC to an S Corp. We'll start payroll next year. Things like that are going to make a difference. But that has been super scary to me. And God just took care of it and gave me her. Yeah. She's the leverage we needed. Yeah. She's the leverage we needed.
I love how natural it was and how much it was already in alignment with exactly how you serve and who you serve before you work together.
Yeah.
So I want to be sure that we have everyone on here that's investing your time and being here together really reflect on what Margaret has shared so far because we have lots more we're going to unpack. But let's take a moment to pause and think about what are you getting out of this for your business. We have a lot more things that we're going to talk about, and I just want to take a few pauses so that you guys can really think about what does this look like for you and ask for any questions.
So I love that even when you were kind of like hesitant and like looking at the dollar amount, like, do I really want to pay someone this much? Do I want to be responsible for that? And you were able to recognize the time when it was essential to you and your business and your sanity to leverage out some of the work. So I really, really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Margaret, we miss
Hey,
you.
Sean, seen you in a while.
I know it's been a while. One of the questions I had was I love the structure you have with your assistant. I'd love for you to delve into that a little bit more to explain how that works. Because that sounds like a direction I might need to head with my admin.
Sean, she's just she calls herself Oz. She said when she introduces herself, she said, I'm like Oz behind the curtain for Margaret. And it's really interesting because she is not licensed. I would love to see her get her license, but she just jumps in. She does the transaction coordination. If I need social media posts done, she's, gotten really good at Canva. When we're at events, she'll go to events with me, and then she's teaching with me. Eventually, we're going to have to offload some of that work because just in the past month, she started working 30 to 35 hours a week, and she's okay with that, but we're just busy. And it's been interesting. We had an event last Friday that she was at, my husband was at. It was a senior expo that we had helped organize, but we're also part of in York. And she overheard me having the opportunity to speak to a group of seniors in another room. And then my husband walked in and the whole thing, and she stood there. And after I walked out, she said, I'm just now beginning to get a glimpse of who you are, what we're doing, and in which direction that we're moving. And I think that she sees the vision of how many people there are to serve. She's really, to say there's structure, there's probably not. She's just jumping in. I will say that the most beneficial thing that we did, a big change we made about 6 weeks ago, is we do not work in the same office. I work at home, or I'm in my car. She's working from home. And I said, I'm just super overwhelmed that we're not communicating enough. Could we start having like a stand up kind of meeting every morning at 8:40? And so we just get on the phone. We talk about the day. We talk about what's coming up, and we get the list together as to who's doing what and what needs to be done. And that has helped my sanity in ways I cannot even explain, and has just made the biggest difference. But basically, I am just literally, when we get a paycheck and it comes, hits my bank account, I take a portion of it and I just send it over to her.
Does she get like, I hope you don't mind sharing, or if you don't, please don't hesitate not to, but does she get like a percentage, or does she get like a set amount per check, or how does that work? I just wonder how you scale that.
Kind of a percentage, and I'm happy to talk in person with you about that.
Yeah.
But I'm consistently going back to her, is this enough, are you getting enough, things like that. And right now it's working. Now, does she have to have the income to live? No, her husband provides for their family, and she was a stay-at-home mom, that kind of thing. So it's not like she's in a place where she's having to make mortgages on her own. So if it was somebody like that, it probably would not be as workable as where we are. But I don't know, at the end of the day, Sean, I didn't think it was unreasonable to ask that of somebody else when we do it all the time. You know what I mean? So I just had to have somebody that was willing to jump in with me in that way. And I will tell you that we have grown since she started, where we have the ability to do more. I mean, a good example of this would be my husband has joined in the business, and he has yet to do a full transaction all by himself. I mean, every piece of it. And I know that all of you that are out here in cyber world today have taken one from the very beginning to the very end, from social media posts to open house posts to signs, the whole thing. And I don't think that anybody gets what all goes into one deal. I mean, and so it's been interesting. He said, all right, I'm going to take one, and then he's like, so we've got an open house next week. How do I advertise? I'm like, well, you got to go make a post. You've got to do those things. So it's been really cool for her to take the majority of that, which enables me to go out, meet with people, go to the presentations, get it all done. And we're working really hard to get systems in place. And that's the key. And we're just getting more efficient as we work together. So I don't know if that helps you, but it's worked for us. I cannot, if she called me tomorrow and said I'm quitting, it's over for Margaret. I don't know what I would do. Not at this point anyway. So.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
What are the rest of you hearing right now?
I loved the piece that you were talking about when you said that your commitment is to give value wherever you go. And I think that that's so important. I think that's something that a lot of us strive to do. And then, like you said, with the admin help too, just realizing your limits and then saying that you wanted to serve, but with sanity. And I think that we all kind of get to a place where we drive ourselves nuts because we're trying to put our hands in too many different things. And Sandra does a good job of talking about your dollar per hour and what are the things that you can leverage out versus the things that you should be spending your time. And I just love your heart, Margaret. You have such a heart for service, and it really does inspire me. And that's where I like to hang out too, is where I just want to find ways to serve people. And so I love seeing how you're able to leverage that time so that you can put 100% into that aspect of your business.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Ashley. You're doing the same thing. You're doing great. Sandra, can we talk about service?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, and I've mentioned this to Sandra a good bit, is there are ways that we can serve whatever community we want to serve. And I said this to her earlier, it's really important. I knew my niche when I came into the business. I knew that I was going to be a senior real estate specialist. I had done the research. My goal is to get my certified senior advisor designation or whatever. Now, that's not real estate. It's something totally different this year. But I knew that. And I think that in real estate, you have to figure out who your people are. Who are you going to go to? Who do you gravitate to? What do you like? And so you have so many agents that start out, they'll come to the first meetings, they get their license, they're all excited. And if you ask them, who do they want to serve? It's usually first-time home buyers, or I want to be a luxury agent. Well, luxury agent, then if you want to be a luxury agent and you don't live in that luxury neighborhood, maybe you live in a very non-luxury neighborhood, maybe you're living in an apartment somewhere, but that's where you're going. I think it's important for us to find ways to get in front of the people that we want to get in front of. So in other words, if you want to be a luxury agent, then start volunteering at the foundations where they're volunteering. Go find those places. Go find the silent auctions. Go put the hands and feet. Get to the golf course in some way. And maybe you can't afford to go to the golf course, but guess what you can do? You can volunteer at the golf course, and you can volunteer for events at the golf course. And you can, when they're having these events where they're raising funds for some organization, you can be volunteering there. You can be the hands and feet in those places to get you where you need to be. And that's exactly what I did with seniors. I became a volunteer ombudsman in South Carolina. And that means I'm kind of like the checks and balances in some of our communities. So I can go in the communities that I'm approved to go into. Now, am I going to reach? Let me finish what I was going to say. I can go into the communities I want to go into, and I'm talking to the residents and I'm chatting with them, and I'm making sure that they're being taken care of, and I'm protecting the rights of people in our communities. Now, that is not a direct line for me to create business, but what it does do, it enables me to know from the inside out the communities where my future clients might be downsizing to. And that is super cool. And eventually, you may run into some staff or something in there that realize that you do real estate or whatever. I can't even do direct business with those communities, and that's okay with me. But what I do know is when I get the phone call, hey, Margaret, my mother's thinking about moving into a community. Will you come talk to us about what that looks like? I then go to their house. I ask them, what are they thinking about? And they say, well, what do you think about such and such community? I now have the ability to say what I think about that community because of my volunteer work. So, or what do you think about so-and-so? And I've met the people and I know the people, and so I'm able to do that. And I think if we can find your niche, if you're crazy into pickleball, then sponsor the pickleball events. If you really want to lean into school age children or toddlers, parents with toddlers, these people that may be having babies, then I heard on a call the other day, she got a fire truck and took it to a big event and invited all the toddlers to come climb on the fire truck. Well, she got 6 leads off of something like that. It cost her next to nothing. And I think it's important for us to figure out who we are so that then we can go find the people that we want to be with. But that also goes back to, who are you? In that group of 4 people, what do you want people to think about you and to know about you that's different than yourself? I mean, I think about the people on this call. All of you are very different. Sean, you're going to serve a different demographic than Ashley is, or a different group of people than Ashley is. But each of us have to have the ability to stand up and go, this is who I am. This is what I care about. And this is how I'm going to serve you with integrity. And if we can figure that out, the rest to me is easy.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So let's talk about, just so everyone can be thinking about it here, because they're all doing things. And I think there's a way to think about the calendar and about when you're looking ahead at your volunteer work, at your seminars, at the things that you're doing. What does that look like for you to plan that? And how often are you consistently putting things on the calendar so that you're in those different places in alignment with your niche?
Chloe would tell you that we're putting too much on the calendar. And in saying that, I don't dig into my database a lot. So there's some big flaws in my plan, but we're working on that. My goal, Sandra, and I have thought about this as a goal, is that I do at least 1 networking event a week and at least 2 larger events every month. And now, typically, because I'm a yes girl and I say yes to too much, last week we taught a class, we had a big networking event, and then we had two other groups that we met with. So it was a very full week, plus the business that we're running and all the different things. So moving forward, one of the things that's really, really important in the senior realm is Alzheimer's Association. And so in October, I'm going to host apparently everybody loves my pancakes. So I'm getting a crew together. We're going to make pancakes and we're going to do a pancake breakfast to raise money for the Alzheimer's Association. I have some vendor partners out there who have invited me to their vendor fairs. That's a very natural thing to do when I'm in this industry. I'm doing that. And then in December, one of the events that I'm going to do, or one of the things I'm going to do, is we have people living in senior communities in our area that are Medicaid facilities, and they have nothing, no prizes for bingo, no nothing like that. And so I'm going to do a drive for things like that at Christmas so that people can donate those things, so that those people in the communities that are not as well off as some of our others actually have some blessing there. So from my standpoint, Chloe would love me to do less, although we're doing it. So that's the challenge is what do we, how do we move forward? We're already beginning to talk about other ways we can leverage, whether that's another person, how that feels. Anyway, we're growing, but I would say, and what I learned in coaching, when I was in coaching, is that, and I'll tell you that in bold too, you just have to be in front of people every week. And how do we get there? That's what we have to do. My husband loves cars, antiques cars. He's restoring a truck. So his goal is he's going to start showing up at all the car shows. And he's going to take his truck and show his truck. That's his happy place is the junkyard. Honestly, he's happier at the junkyard than anywhere else. So things like that, that's going to be, while he's going to be helping me with our clients, that is where he would be putting his marketing and his time. So anyway, one more note on that before we go on to something else. One thing that I've noticed it in realtor circles too, is that a lot of times we do these events or we do these get-togethers and we hang with our people instead of taking the opportunity to go out and talk to the people that are there. That happened to me last Friday. I was at this York Senior Expo. There were 18 vendors there, all in the senior arena. We had our tables all set up. Everybody's talking amongst themselves, but all the people were in the room eating lunch. So where was I? I was in the middle of all the people in there eating lunch, introducing myself and telling them why we were there and what we were about. And I had the opportunity to probably talk to 15 minutes for all the seniors that were in there eating, while all my peers were out talking amongst themselves and they didn't have those touch points. And so I want you to remember that, to me, that is super important too. Be the one that's standing at the door greeting people, be the one that's serving the drinks, be the one that is as intentionally going to the potential client. And that's how you have to think of it. Like, don't go into a room of realtors and go, who am I going to talk to today? Go find the people in that room that you don't know and that need to know about you. And that has just been so powerful in what I've done. And I go to these networking events all the time. Seniors are invited, and all the networking people just stay in their corner talking to each other while I'm the one going from table to table and really digging in. And so that would be something I would caution you about, just because I see it happening all the time and it doesn't make sense to me. Why are they there? So I don't want to waste time if I'm going to be somewhere like that.
One of the things I want to ask you is, do you have a specific, thank you for being here, Melissa. Do you have a specific value piece or document or resource site or something that you consistently plug people into when you're meeting them to make it easier for you? Or do you just get their contact information and then follow up by reaching back out after the event to continue?
Usually just get their contact information somehow like that. I mean, I have some brochures that I've developed and some different things like that. My most effective thing, y'all, lately, and getting people to take my cards. And I just got some tiny little plastic bags and I put 2 Hershey Kisses in them and I folded them over and I stamped my card on that. So when I'm at open houses, in order to get the Hershey Kiss, they have to take my card and they're flying out the door. And so, whereas when I had my stack of cards there on my open houses, nobody was taking them. So, I mean, I've branded myself literally with my little printer. I've branded water bottles before, and I bought tiny little candles. They're like this big on Amazon, and we made stickers with our name and logo and phone number on them and put them on the candles, and we give those out, things like that. But as far as people giving me their information, it's usually they're signing in. We do all of our open houses. We enjoy that part, meeting the people. So it's just trying to constantly be creative in getting the information in somebody's hand so that and being memorable, y'all. Like, we've got to be memorable. I'll tell you, we hosted bingo at Sun City, and we were not supposed to be hosting bingo at Sun City. Apparently, you have to pay for that privilege. I was in the right place at the right time. The girl didn't have anybody lined up. She said, "Could you do it?" It was less than a week away. I looked at Chloe. I said, "Can we pull this off?" 300 seniors. You get to stand in front of all of them, tell them what you do, the whole thing. I was like, yes, we'll figure this out. We busted it. We got really cool bingo prizes. We branded them with all of our cards and our colors. And then we put on a spread of food. And I'm cheap, y'all. I do things cheap. We put on a spread of food, and I took my nice dishes and my tiered trays and we put it on. And the seniors walked in and they were like, bingo's never like this. This is incredible. We don't ever get treated like this. Well, you're supposed to pay for the privilege of bingo. We've now been invited back to host bingo again and do it again. And it's because we stepped it up a notch. We didn't just throw $20 gift cards from Starbucks on the table. We were creative in what we did, and we put on a nice big, it wasn't fancy food, but we made it look amazing. People were taking pictures of it. And we had no idea that we thought we were probably being normal. But apparently that wasn't normal. And now we've been memorable and we've been asked to do other events in that way. And I think that we have to think back to, what are you going to, if you're in among 4 other realtors, who are you going to be? What are you going to look like? And I think being memorable is so important. And so if it's Hershey Kisses, go for it. If it's candles, whatever it takes, just go that extra little step, and it will make all the difference in the world.
You actually represent to me the book Unreasonable Hospitality and everything you just described. And it's just who you are. Like, you just live hospitality. You are that way to everyone around you. And so I would just encourage everyone here. I mean, the people that are a part of this call right now do already think that way of how to take great care of people. So I would just encourage everyone to think about, what is the one area or 1 or 2 things as you're planning your business out for next year that you could step it up a notch in and plan to make that a part of what you do consistently. Because many of you already have skill sets where you do that or you think that way, and you think it's normal, but it's not, unfortunately. I know you're super passionate about making sure that you put love and goodness and great experiences out into the world. And I think that's a gift.
Well, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me in value when people are calling. And I think that is, I think that's the end goal. If we want to serve people, we have to find the clients. And so we've got to get their attention one way or another.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll double click on here is go to where the people are, right? So for everyone who's like, I don't know where to get business, she's literally going to the places where all the people she wants to serve are and figuring out how to serve, whether it's her volunteer work, speaking on panels, teaching, educating, networking. And some of you already do this, but just think about if that's something you already do well, based on this conversation, what's one way that you're going to up your game around that? What's next for you, Margaret, as you're thinking about 2026? What are you looking to do next in your business?
I think we've got to grow. I don't know what that looks like. We're systems, getting some processes in place, making it a little bit easier. I need to get a little bit more cost effective so that I can afford the leverage. Figuring out those things. Todd has joined me. We've been figuring out how we work together and what does that look like. So we've got some more growing pains to go. I don't ever want to be in the place where I can't serve the way that I serve right now. And so figuring out how to do that. It's not my goal to build a team and pass it all off to my team. That is not what I want. I have people begging me to come and network with them and work with them in North Carolina. And right now we just don't have the bandwidth to even take the time to pour into those resources up there. So some things like that are going to be big. So we're just figuring it out as we go. Like I told you, I never dreamed we'd be building a business. So we've got to figure out how to run a business and serve at the same time. And I think that it's just, as Gary Keller says, we're failing forward every day. Every day is not a win, and everything that we do is not the best thing. But I think we learn every time we do anything. And have I gone to some listing appointments I didn't get? Yeah, I have. But I've learned enough in those that it's been worth my time to go. There are some things that we've done that have not been effective and that have not worked. But I think consistency and showing up, I layering, like I'm constantly showing up here and then I'm showing up here and then I'm showing up here. And that kind of layering is making a difference. We're just going to continue to move forward and see what God does with it, because He's truly the one that's doing it. And He brings me the clients that I work with from a faith perspective. There's been amazing opportunities for ministry in that aspect. And at the end of the day, if somebody gets safely where they need to go and their estate has been taken care of properly and are not sick and drawn out and, miserable in the whole thing, I consider that we've been successful. And it's hard, y'all. This is not easy work. And when you're dealing with people, we've dealt with some very hard people to work with this year. And it just takes us choosing kindness, and it takes us choosing patience. It takes us choosing the higher path on some things, and just letting the results be what they end up being, and trusting that that's going to be enough. And it is, and it will be.
I love everything you just said. And I'm just going to go on record saying that you just said that you're not going to have a team, because I want to come back to this video later. Not
No,
that
I didn't say I wouldn't have a team. I was just saying I don't want to have a
pass
team.
it all off.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it all off. I think we're going to have a team, because I don't have any other direction to go. So, but we're getting there.
Your experience and your standards and the way that you care for your clients are why they work with you. So as you continue to build in the direction that you have and continue to refine systems and get processes in place, you're going to be able to multiply the impact you're already having through you continuing to grow, because it's going to happen naturally. I'm really proud of you for everything that you've done. One thing that I wanted to touch on real quick, and then everybody go ahead and write down your top takeaways and questions so that you have them ready to go. How do you choose over the almost 3 years? When is your 3 years up?
I started March of 2020. 2023, 2023. Anyway, I think I'll have completed 3 years coming March.
Okay, perfect. So how have you selected your mentors as your business has evolved? Because I know a little bit about, like, you were in the coaching program with Janice and Sean early on in productivity coaching. And, we've had a chance to work together a little bit, which I'm grateful for because you're so awesome. And I know how you've intentionally sought out people that you believe in their values. So what has that looked like for you as you've evolved?
So I loved coaching, although the coaching that I got so far, I haven't met coaches who know what to do with me. And I don't say that in any, it's the Gary Keller plan, the real estate plan is proven. You get your listings, you get your leads, you get your leverage, you get all of these different things, Sandra. But I think when I came in, people are like, well, how many deals do you want to close? I mean, you and I had these conversations. How many deals do you want to close? How much money do you want to make? And my answer was, I don't know. I just want to serve people.
Doesn't matter.
And so it's been hard to find somebody that gets me, that I hold that loosely. I trust the Lord with that, and He's going to bless me and financially in the way that He wants to, who allows me to be who I am and how I want to go about my business. And so after I left coaching, I had the opportunity to retain with one of those coaches. I do believe that that would have been beneficial to me. However, at the time, I was scared to death to pay the cost for it. And so I didn't. And you kept saying you need to get on the pivot call with James Shaw. And so I just kept getting on the pivot call. And he is like the Mr. Rogers of real estate. He is kind, he is affirming. And the timing was right for that for me. For in the morning, I'm getting ready. I can listen, I can participate. It's not in the middle of the day. That's just how my day structures. And the thing that's different about me with the senior demographic, everybody else, if you're targeting your 35-year-olds, it's okay to call them at 9 in the morning, but seniors don't move. A lot of them don't want to be called until after 10, and they're really better off in the afternoon or that time between nap time in the afternoon and evening. So for me to make phone calls and do those kind of things, it's different than a lot of other people and how they lead generate. Nothing wrong with calling people from 9 to 11 every day. There's nothing, but to meet the people that I'm trying to get and to get them on the phone, my daytime has to shift. So pivot just worked for me. I liked James's style, and I then joined the Inspire Collective. But the thing I like the most about that is that voices from all over the world are speaking every day. It's not just our market. It's not just our market center. And those ideas and those strategies are coming from all of those places. So I'm still not like in a direct coaching with him, but that is enough to help me focus and help me think on what we want to do. And that has really helped me with my systems, because when you're on calls with people who have those systems in place and they share those systems, then I'm not inventing the wheel. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to take those systems that are in place and make them my own and see how they flesh out. So I have not done former MAPS coaching or formal coaching up to now. We are actually meeting this afternoon with a small business coach outside of the real estate world to just kind of pick his brain and see the direction that we may want to go and what we're going to do. So I am at the point, sometimes I think I'm not coachable, and I don't say that proudly, but I am at the point where I do know the areas where we need help and we need direction. And we are beginning to, now that Chloe is in place and Todd is in place, we've named ourselves the Next Chapter Home Group. And as we're moving forward in that direction, we know that we need to get some things in place. So we're going to get some coaching to get it done.
I'm very proud of you for all of that. One of the things that that I know you do is you care. First of all, you absolutely are coachable. If any coach ever says someone's not coachable, it's because they just don't have the skill set to coach them. One of the things that I just want to say really quick is you've just been super intentional about making sure that you hire people in alignment with the values that you have and where you want to go, even when maybe it wasn't directly around you in that moment. You were open to taking part in that. And I think that that has contributed to your success a lot. And I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, questions and your top takeaways so that we can thank Margaret for her time and so that you guys can get the most possible value out of this time that you have spent with us.
I need to figure out how to volunteer at a golf course. Thank you for that.
Yes, you do. There are ways. There are
Yeah.
ways. Yes, call them and say, when are your, fundraisers coming up? And you can do it.
Absolutely. I wrote that down. Thank you.
Matter of fact, Sean, Narrowway in Fort Mill was doing a big golf fundraiser, whatever, coming up. And they were on the radio the other day wanting volunteers. And I don't know if it's already happened or not, but check with Narrowway.
Yeah, they're right around the corner from our house. We go there here for the Christmas show.
Right. They were doing a big thing. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Can I add something?
hi, sweet friend.
I actually met Margaret I think I was licensed a whole week
You were.
when I met her. She actually referred a Spanish speaking family to me and I was able to help them. I was super grateful to her because she knew that what she said to me was, I know I can't give them the service that they deserve. And I just knew that it's like her heart, that's where it is. Service is in her heart, right? And we actually did close it. Yay! It took a very, very long time, but we did
Okay.
it. But also, she was super encouraging to me right at the beginning. And it's funny to hear you talk about building a team now. Because one of the first things that we talked about was like, don't even worry about it. I did so until the first year. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can pull through the first year. And you're wonderful. And I'm so happy to see you grow because you not only deserve it, but it's like, I love it when the right people get big. You know what I mean? I love you.
You're
I'm
amazing.
here for you.
Yes.
I've had the
Yes.
privilege to take some of her buyers out to see houses as well. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for setting a standard and for being such a role model.
Aw.
Everyone in the chat can definitely see why you deserve all the good things.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. It's like embarrassing.
Who else?
For me, I can't mirror what Pamela said enough. Margaret and I met, oh gosh, it was over a year ago, and she took me out during a pretty rough time and she just spoke some life into me and she just listened. So even just from the agent standpoint, I just want to just edify you and just say thank you for just loving on people, not just your clients, but agents as well. One thing I loved that you said was just to figure out who you are. And that's something I've been really honing in over the last year is kind of like who am I serving? What do I want that to look like? And you had said something along the lines of what do you want people to know about you? And I know for me, I can do a way better job of sharing that and putting it out there. Even, just over the last little bit, I just have been thinking and reflecting, even in Bible study, like, what do I want people to remember me by? And so that kind of just put a little bit more highlighting in that area of something I've been really leaning into. And so just, figuring out, honing in on who I am, what I want people to know me for, and how I can use that in a way to serve others. So thank you for that.
I love that, Ashley. You're amazing.
Awesome. Is there anyone, and there, if you didn't see all the comments, people have given you lots of things that they've taken away in the comments too. Margaret, if you want to read those in the chat. And it is 2:00. Does anyone else have one more top takeaway? And I will say she is not only that way with agents. She literally takes care of everybody she knows.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me say one thing, Sandra, is I just want you all know I'm an idea person. So I my brain goes all over the place for ideas, but if you need an idea about something, please reach out to me. Just shoot me a text, say, hey, I'm working on this. Do you have any ideas? Can you help me? Or whatever. I would love to be that for you. And so if whether it's a marketing event or whatever, and you may not use my idea, but I'm happy to brainstorm with you about how you can do something. So just know that you can do that.
And I'll share everyone who, is on for the couple minutes extra really quick. Oh yeah, Margaret, will you type your information in there for Tiff? So Margaret actually called me on a Saturday and told me that she believes that you already know what I'm going to say. She's in her red. That she believes that I could be like the female James Shaw. Like I literally could create a community like that and talk to me about it and saw that in me before I even was clear on, not that I'm crystal clear now, but before I was even had an idea of what we were going to build next. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for this time.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all.
right. Everyone have an amazing week, and this recording will be up within probably next week after the event, but everyone will have access if they want to go back and listen to it. Thank you for your time, Margaret, and for always giving back to others. We
Oh,
really
thank you.
appreciate you.
See you, Margaret.
Good to
Bye.
see you all. Bye-bye.